Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Circle I Ranch. It's Ken coming to you live from the 419 here in sunny, beautiful Toledo, Ohio. Sorry, I think I must have been listening to Fish this morning. I don't know what that was. I don't know what was going on there. I was feeling a little flighty, I guess. So how is everybody doing today? I hold in my hands this absolutely beautiful 2020 model Reverend Jetstream RB. What does the RB stand for? Folks, it stands for Retro Blast. These are the brand new from Joe Naylor for 2020 Retro Blast pickups. And yeah, we're fired up. This has been doing really, really well for us. The new pickups sound great. We're putting them, of course, in the Flat Rock, the Jetstream RB, Club King RB, Contender RB, don't forget that. And we just did just a handful of Pete Anderson hollow bodies with these pickups in them, which are also awesome. And but today we're talking about the Jetstream. This is a Carina body, roasted maple neck, locking tuners, bonite nut, Wilkinson VS50 trim, of course. This is deep sea blue, one of the more popular colors in the Reverend line. All Reverend guitars, of course, feature the bass contour control, the custom input jack, and the custom neck plate, and also the Veraclaw, which isn't something that we talk about very often because I always forget to take the back plates off the guitars. So today we're going to get super into the Veraclaw. We'll get into that in a second. But I'd like to talk about, that's why I'm wearing my glasses. I'd like to talk about these Retro Blast pickups for you for just a minute. In the bridge position, notice that chime. This is the controls all the way up with a nice sort of clean setting here on the car. That's what I was doing those 9 chords with. With both pickups on, they really sound lush. And on the neck pickup alone, I know, I'm surprised, right? Myself, I'm like, oh, wow, this sounds cool, which is really ridiculous considering where we are and what I do for a living. pickup song. Let's go back to that neck pickup. That bridge, man. Our good friend, Mr. Gregory Cockery, has one of these bad boys in the Avocado, which is super cool. And he coaxes more alluring tones than I do. Well, actually, I got some pretty good tones, but that boy's got some pretty wicked fingers, my man. So, yeah, if you're interested in seeing a lot more sound clips of the Jetstream RB, check out Greg's channels. Yes. Because Greg has got some really cool Jetstream video as well, Jetstream RB video. And the lovely Miss Penny over there behind the camera is, maybe she'll share one for you in the comment thread below. This is the Reverend Jetstream RB. So the difference between the Retro Blast pickups and the Revtron pickups, those Revtron pickups started with our Wolfman model back in like 99 or 2000, maybe 2001. Somebody out there knows. And they were very, very well received by people who like the traditional Filtertron pickups. But people who were using them for the first time always thought that the bottom end of the neck pickup, the low strings under the neck pickup, wished that they were a little tighter. But that is one of the it's one of the qualities of that style pickup, is that sort of flabbiness. You know what I mean? That brings the chime on the top end, right? And so we've been hearing that comment, and we made a lot of suggestions to the guy with the Revtrons that had that complaint. And honestly, LG, I think that has a lot to do with the gear, and I think people.
You mean with the pedals and amps?
Yeah, I'm going to make a broad generalization with guitar players here, which you don't want to make broad generalizations, but no. I do this, so I think it's okay to like, because we were had this conversation a lot this week about different brands of pickups and how I try certain things and I just don't like them through my amps. I don't, I've got these cars that I've been using for a long time. I got a pair of Fender Deluxe reissues that I use in one of my bands. I have some 80-watt versions of the car amps, a thing called El Moto that I use in one of my bands. And then around here, I go back and forth between the orange that we use for the Railhammer demos and this kick-ass Rolla, which sounds like the best JCM 800 you've ever heard, and then some.
The Balch 100.
The Balch, baby. And and of course, I can't say enough about the Nailer. Of course, it's one of the reasons why we're here. And Penny is like looking at the high watt stack, which is so much bigger than Penny. it's as tall as me, for crying out loud. And I think sometimes I plug, I'll be trying something out that's got some EMGs in it or something, or something, and I don't want to call out brands or whatever, but just modern. Let's just say modern pickups, and I plug them into my amps, and I'm just like, it just doesn't do it for me. Like I, like the thing that I'm used to. But what I failed to consider is that these guys are plugging these modern pickups into modern digital equipment, or they're running direct through interfaces into their computer to do recording and doing stuff, and they have so much control over their tone from what they're plugging into, that those pickups are presenting that style of equipment with the proper tonal palette to mold, to shape. You know what I mean? And I'm not. I'm a 50-year-old dude plugging into tube amps, and I'm used to hearing the things that I'm used to hearing, and so I'm not used to hearing those things, and so in my mind they're weird. So back to what we were talking about. These people watch this because they like to see me just go. Penny's like, I see this every day. I'm tired of this.
Oh, jeez.
So back to the Revtrons. So with the Revtrons, people who were liked the sound of the traditional pickups loved the Revtrons because they just had a little more gas. They were wound a little hotter, and they already knew how Filtertrons worked. Guys who weren't familiar with those pickups as much thought that the bottom end was a little floppy in the neck pickup, and Joe and I sort of came up with some solutions for that. Joe's solution was, of course, remove half the pole pieces. Remove 3 of the screws from one of the coils, and remove 3 of the screws from the other coils, and it will tighten up the sound a little bit, which it did, of course, and made it interesting. It sort of changed the tonality of the pickup quite a bit, as it would. One suggestion, the Revtron pickups and the Retro Blast pickups are very, very sensitive to the height of the pole pieces. And so you can get into adjusting the pole piece height across the pickup and come up with wild variations of things. But Joe was playing around with it some more last year and just thought of the idea of removing the little chrome tabs that stick over and seeing if that would open up the poles under the low end a little bit, alter the magnetic field. This is Joe's department, so don't expect me to get super technical about that. But Joe started with that and then started experimenting with the windings and things, and came up with this Retro Blast pickup, which has that chime that the Revtron's pickup had, but also focused the bottom end just a little bit more. And we're really happy with the results. And I like doing these weird 6 chords on the low strings. And of course, my favorite had 9 chords. And they you get that sort of chiminess to the upper mids out of these pickups that you don't find in traditional humbuckers. And it is a really neat blend of traditional humbucker and sort of a P90 style single coil, tone wise, to my ear. Lower output humbuckers take high gain very, very well. It's a very, very smooth sound that is real pleasing, especially if you are playing, by yourself, which in the day of the Rona, aren't we all spend a little too much time playing with ourselves?
And Haas.
Sorry about that. At any rate, I'm going to put this super badass. I mean, it's just so smooth and warm and inviting, right? Here's a riff from one of my old bands. You wouldn't, I don't know. I mean, I would look at these pickups and not think to play high gain stuff. But with pedals and with the tube amps and things, the low output pickups let the pedals and the amp do a little bit more work, so you have a little bit more control over it, and you can get a really focused, tight tone. I think it's cool, and I think these new Retro Blast pickups are super cool. LG,
what?
She's raising her hand. Do you have a question, my love? Somebody want to talk about these Retro Blast pickups before I move on to the Veraclaw? Veraclaw.
Michael Batista.
Did you hear that? Hi, Mike.
Says he wants to know if there's an update on other pickup rings for the Retro Blast pickups.
No, sir. Joe likes the look of the chrome.
Yeah.
Now when we were doing the Revtrons, we did the chrome pickup rings at first, and they were steel rings. And then about 10 years ago, we switched them to brass, and we started plating the brass with black, and they looked kind of cool with the black metal pickup rings. But Joe really likes the look of the chrome. So these are chrome plated brass now. And Joe really likes the look of it. I like the look of it. We're rolling with it. Unfortunately, I don't have the black pickup rings to offer. I'm trying to get them sourced again, but
that can be difficult these days.
Yeah, and parts are a pain in the butt these days, folks.
Right.
And yes, I remember you asking this question before. I haven't had a flurry of that. So, I mean, for the moment, we're just sort of waiting for things to settle down. It would be neat. That would be a neat thing to offer in the parts section of the warehouse and the website, but it's not anything that I really
No.
can prioritize at the moment, I'm afraid. I'm just being honest. You
Is it-
tune in to watch me be honest.
Right. Are there aftermarket parts that would fit that? Is it an
That
odd
is that
size?
is a
it
great question, and I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Okay.
I don't know. Um, People ask if Tom Jones's pickups will fit in these routes and stuff like that. That's not a question for me.
That's true.
I can't keep track of what everybody else does. So I really don't know if the accessories that other companies sell will fit with the Retro Blast pickups themselves. Humbuckers, yes.
But that's not a standard size.
Yeah, but it's not a stand. This is not a standard sized humbucker. It's a little bit smaller, and I think it's a little bit larger than the G Brand's mini humbucker.
Yeah.
So it falls into its own range. It sort of is what it is. Good question, LG. Indeed.
If you want to talk about something else, I've got another question for you.
No, fire away.
Finding it. Steve Ward says that Tom Essler has a question about cleaning guitar necks. Now, I saw this go by on the Reverend Guitars Owners Club, which you
Okay.
guys should all join if you're not a part of over on Facebook. I believe Tom's question was about cleaning the roasted maple necks. If you could just
Just
go
a
over
mild-
just a primer.
Cleaning the roasted maple neck. The roasted maple necks have a very, very lightly applied satin finish on them, and you don't want to use anything that's too abrasive. So just a mild detergent on a microfiber cloth.
And by detergent, you mean like dish soap?
No, I mean like, yeah, or like even Windex or something.
Oh, okay.
But something very, very mild and watered down, and spray it on the rag, not on the neck. And that's just if you've got like finger goo that you want to get off the fretboard, remove the strings, just use a mild detergent to wipe it off. And really that's about it. Water, even. You really don't need to get into anything else, and there's no reason to treat the roasted maple necks with anything. The Palo fingerboards are natural, and so you would treat the Palo in the same way that you would um, any rosewood. Like Joe's a big fan of lemon oil, but just again, it can be put on so sparingly. The Palo isn't as porous as rosewood is, so you don't have to use very much of it. You put it on, let it sit for 15, 20 minutes, soak in, wipe off the excess. You should be good to go. It's not something that needs to be done every time.
But how
So
often?
really, if you never play your guitar once in a lifetime,
Well,
if you
okay.
play it daily for a couple hours a day, I mean, as needed, because you can use that lemon oil to wipe off any of the finger marks and stuff that you would have on there too. Like sometimes your finger oils collect, and that's why like the old maple necks get that really cool broken in look, you know. But if you want to try to avoid that, just periodically, once every 6 months, it's the wood absorbs and holds that for quite some time. But again, that's just on the Palo and same with the ebony. Ebony is a very, very dense wood, so it doesn't soak up that oil like a rosewood does, which is very porous. So just a very, very light application every 6 months, every year, or whatever, and it'll be fine. And so much of this, there's so many factors that depend on this stuff, which is why it's just a good thing to research online. Treat the Rever necks like you would treat any other neck from any other manufacturer. The roasted maple should be treated the same as a regular maple neck. The Palo and ebony should be treated just like Palo, ebony, and rosewood from any other manufacturer. It's fine. If you live in an area that's really, really dry, you're up in Duluth, and you have 9 months of blasting your furnace, then maybe apply the oil a little more often than if you live in an area that isn't really, really dry. Your guitar will dictate that to you. And like, again, there's a lot of resources for this online that are better than me here in Ohio doing my thing isn't necessarily the thing that everybody should be doing. You know what I mean? But that being said, There's nothing special that you have to do with the Reverend roasted maple versus a regular, like a standard maple neck. I think that's
you.
the core of the question. Yeah, no problem. We ready to talk about the Veraclaw?
Do it.
All right. So one of the things that we don't talk about very often, because it's always hidden by the back plate, is the Variclaw. And the Variclaw is a Reverend exclusive, and it's kind of cool. It's Joe likes the feel of a very loose trem. Okay, and one of the sort of a fulcrum style trem mod that has been popular over the years is to set up your guitar with 2 springs instead of 3 or 4. Some guys put the 5 springs in there and have the guitar trem plate mounted straight up against the body on that style guitar. The Reverend guitars are designed so that the bridge actually floats, and so when set up properly, the bridge is resting approximately 1/8 of an inch above the body. Penny, can you see the bridge plate
Kind of.
above the body? And you can see how there's play here to
Oh, yeah.
allow the trem to move, the tone to move up and down, so that the bridge is floating. We talk about the physics of this all the time. There's guys who play a lot of double stop bends who don't like a floating bridge, because when you bend up on one string, we did this last week. When you bend up on one string, you are pulling all the other strings flat. So if I just hit this note and bend, you can hear it going a little bit flat, and that's because the bridge is floating. I've, over the years, without even realizing that I'm doing it, I compensate for that by bending up slightly on that second string to keep everything in tune. And that just comes from practice and a lot of doing it. If that is a real sticking point for you, you don't want a floating bridge. But the flip side of having the bridge floating is it's very smooth. You get a vibrato that not only goes down from the original pitch, but also goes up from the original pitch. You can do all the cool fluttery stuff. I like floating trems. I think they're cool. So back to the Veraclaw. I'll show you this. This is how we ship the guitars. How am I doing, LG? I'm in the frame?
Yeah.
This is how we ship the guitars, with 3 springs in the middle of the claw. And this is a very, very traditional feel for a floating trem. Pretty much all manufacturers ship the guitar with 3 springs in it. So when you grab it, it feels familiar to you. Now, I am going to go Guitar Tech Live here. Pray for me. And we are going to switch this from the 3 springs I just showed you to 2. And I do this with a small screwdriver, which a lot of people have methods for swapping the springs around, but I find this one to be the easiest. And here we go. So instead of having the 3 springs in the middle, I'm going to set this up for having 2 springs on the outside of the claw. And there you have it. There's the 3rd spring. And
Well, sure.
I will, okay.
Okay.
There's this. So now, as you see, it went from having 3 springs in the middle to the 2 springs on the outside.
And that's because of the staggered claw. Is that easier?
The stagger allows the tension to remain close to being the same on the fulcrum, as I'm about to demonstrate. So now, obviously, the guitar was in tune before I did that, and here we are, and the guitar is a little out, but not that bad. Now, just, yeah, I was a semitone out on most of these, and now that because the bridge is floating, of course, when you tune one string, you adjust them all. But as you can see, just a little semitone on the B string. High E's pretty much in. And we are Hey, let's get on the computer and watch Ken tune a guitar. Woohoo! And in 30 seconds, we are set up and ready to play with 2 springs. And it is just a tension thing. So I'll show this to you again here per LG's request. We good? We lit good?
Yeah.
You see it all right?
Yeah.
So with the 3 springs, we were on these 3 middle claws. When we go to 2 springs, we're on the outside on the two claws, or I call the whole thing a claw, the Veraclaw, but the 2 grabbers on the outside are further away from the block. So the tension is similar in order to get the fulcrum into place, right? Which is why it only took me a second to tune it back up. And I didn't have to adjust where the claw sits at all with a big screwdriver to move the whole unit further in. You know what I mean?
Down,
it's just, yeah,
left
right,
and right,
exactly.
whatever you're looking at.
And now I have a very, very slinky feel to the Wilkinson. And so if you like that loose feel on the trem, it's that easy. Can you dig it? The Variclaw. That's on every Reverend guitar that has a Wilkinson on it for the last 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, 2 years since Joe came up with that. Yeah. Like I said, we ship it with 3 springs in the middle, but this is an option for those of you who like the feel of that. And we just Veraclawed live.
We did.
We did.
It was easy.
Penny's been wanting me to Veraclaw live for a while.
I have been.
And I know, and I always forget because we always get the guitars and they're like this beauty right here.
Oh, like you had to put a specific note. Leave the back plate off.
I did. Leave the back plate off. With this guitar right here is going to the Tone Shop in Dallas, Texas. And when they get it, it's going to have 3 springs installed. But that's where you will be able to find this beauty in a week or two. And yeah, any questions on the I mean, it's a fairly straightforward thing. And Joe brought that to us about the same time he came to us with the Triple Tree.
Yep.
And it was the Veraclaw took a bit more engineering. And again, it's a part that nobody's made before. So it's exclusive to Reverend, which is why it's stamped Veraclaw. It's exclusive to us, and like not unlike the Triple Tree. And it works. And it's one of those things that's just kind of like, oh, yeah.
Naylor's good at that.
Yeah, Naylor's good at like seeing things that are like.
How come nobody ever thought of that?
Yeah,
before?
right. Like
Kind
I didn't realize that was a thing, but now that you mentioned it, wow. And then the solution is fairly simple, you know.
It's solid. It doesn't.
Yeah.
When you change strings, you don't have like it doesn't loosen up or you know.
Not at all. Because it is. I mean, it works exactly like a traditional trem claw that came from Leo in the 50s. I mean, it's the same.
It's the same thing. It's just got that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. These screws adjust where the Veraclaw sits within the trem cavity, the 2 large screws up here. That is traditional. That works the same as they've worked for 66 years.
Sure.
I believe.
I'll buy that.
Yeah. When was, I think 54 was the year that the fulcrum trem was designed. Interesting. Anyway.
Nathan Marshall over on YouTube.
Never heard of him.
Says, "Good morning, Ken Haas."
Good morning, Nathan Marshall.
You guys saw him at the virtual Summer NAMM.
Ah, yes.
Booth.
Nathan Marshall.
Let's see. Josh says, "Do you find a tonal difference with a tremolo cover on or off?"
I don't find any difference at all. I don't. The backplate thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference to my ear, but there's a lot of compression going on with these tube amps. So there's some subtleties that I'm missing, but I don't think that makes a difference in the sound particularly. What else you got, LG?
Durrell wants to know if there are floating trems that look like Bigsby's but can still use the Veraclaw system.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't. The floating trem thing sort of has a very specific look to it, you know. So I don't really know of any that work like that. I mean, the whole Bigsby unit thing is that the spring is on everything is top mounted on the body, and the spring is on the top of the body, so there's nothing inside to mess with. And I don't know how you would make a fulcrum straw like a 2-point trem thing like that that would look like a Bigsby but still have its guts on the inside. I've never heard of anything like that, but there's some crazy shit out there.
Oh yeah.
I still have no idea what's inside those Parker Flies from the 90s. I don't have a clue. Hey, Reeves was a endorser. He was a signature artist for a while, and he tried to explain it to me once, and I still don't understand
Mr. Parker and Mr. Fly now.
it. Yeah. It's Ken Parker, but yes.
Oh, there's no Mr. Fly.
I don't
No,
think so.
of
No,
course not.
no, I don't believe so. No.
Gary would like to know if we're going to see the new Reverend straps today.
No, Gary, we're a couple weeks away from the new Reverend straps. I apologize for that. We had a little fit and a little start on some strap production. I've miscommunication within the building. I thought they were ready to go. I was excited. I make mistakes. Don't tell my wife.
That's true.
And yes, and so as a result, pictures were put on the website before they were actually ready to ship, and that is the worst. That is embarrassing. But we will have the straps ready to go within the next few weeks, and when we do, oh, I'm going to talk about them. Oh yeah, you can't stop me from talking about stuff. So and they're cool. We are Mr. Naylor has designed. What the hell is that? What
You
does
need
that
more
what
coffee.
does that even mean? Mr. Naylor has designed a strap with our friends at Levy's. And Gator Company owns the Levy straps now. And a very, very good friend of ours was working there as a designer for a couple of years, and she's no longer there. But when she was there, she got together with Mr. Joe, and they put together a pretty cool strap and basically, like a lot of the stuff that we do, and there's nothing wrong with this, it's the strap that Joe wants to use.
Right.
You know what I mean? And right, but
Right.
and Joe wants the Veraclaw. I mean, Joe, this is
Right.
Joe wanted the base contour control. I mean, this is
Because
the
he
stuff.
uses
Right.
them with his
Yep.
fans,
Right. Exactly.
in burning
And
things.
yep, totally.
Mhm.
And so this was the strap that Joe wanted, and so they designed it together, and it is really super cool. And I can't wait to offer it to you, but it's going to be a couple more weeks. Thanks for asking. Thanks for paying attention. They were literally online for 20 minutes. We sold 3 of them.
I know.
And we didn't really even make an announcement. And then we were like, and then we had to backpedal, which is the worst.
Yeah. You were like, take those posts down.
And I wish I had somebody else to blame it on other than me, but
well,
I got to take the heat on that one.
I guess.
I do. True.
For those of you who are having problems with the cast, some people are saying it's glitching.
We are having some horrible internet.
We are, and I think it's because in the last couple of weeks, everybody in town is back to school, but virtually.
Yeah.
And
we have 1, 2, 3 colleges
right
close by.
Right. And so our internet provider has been bad. So it might be us.
Yeah.
It might be you guys for the same reason.
Yeah.
It's
sorry about
a
that,
mess,
everybody.
and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm having programs that I run regularly that shouldn't take a whole lot of bandwidth, like PayPal, are shutting down on me in the middle of transactions for no reason. I'm like, what is this?
Right.
Hopefully by next week they have it together. But I get the feeling it's our provider in the area just having some issues, because we've been having the issues at home, and home isn't that far away from here for us. So
well, it's not just us, it's everybody in town.
Yeah.
Fred is a T-style player.
Woohoo!
And wants to know what bridges are best for sustain, string through, hardtail, etc.
Man, that's a whole can of worms, Fred. You try to get me in trouble. The correct answer to that is whichever one you like the most. No, seriously though, that's a tough one, because there's a school of thought that the Tunematic with a stop tailpiece bridge is really cool for sustain, because do I have one? I do. Look at me go. Look at me all prepared. This this pressure of tuning the strings presses the tunematic bridge down into the wood on the guitar, transferring the vibration from the strings into the body and making it very resonant and making it sustain and whatnot. But then there are those who believe that a hardtail string through bridge, like you would find on the Gregory Cockery Gristly Mastery, with the strings going through the body in the back. So you have the tension of the strings not only pressing down on the saddles here, but also pulling up on the bottom, transfers that energy to the body of the guitar and makes the guitar vibrate really well and all those things. And I think both things are true. And I like the way both sound on our instruments. I don't think that there's a right or there's a wrong. I will say that when you make the leap from either of those styles into the Wilkinson style trem and the Fulcrum style trem, there is a noticeable difference in resonance and a small difference in sustain. But you get sort of an airiness because you've pulled this much wood out of the guitar around the bridge, whereas those are all solid throughout this area. With the trem style guitars, you've removed a lot of wood, and so it does it changes the mid range. It sort of shifts the mid range focal point of the body, and they sound a little bit more open and they sound a little bit more nasally to my ear. But whatever you think is right, because this is all opinion based stuff.
It is.
It truly is. Kind of like the reverse headstock thing with people and the string tension. I've heard great arguments in both directions. I just know I like it. And same with this. I don't necessarily think that any one is any better than another. They're just different. You know what I mean? And the physics of it. You know, if you get used to one thing and you really like it, and then you add your amp and your pedals and all of this stuff and into everything that's going on once the signal leaves the output jack, alters everything that we just talked about, you know. And so it's really just a combination of everything that you do that you're used to, and finding what works for you is the most important thing. I don't think that any system is any better than any other system, just different. There you have it.
So
Although
very-
our guitars are the best.
Right. Josh says it seems the road rash guitars are getting more and more popular. Is that a journey we're going to go down? Are we going to go down that road?
You know, every time I say never, it comes around later and kicks me in the ass. So I hate to say never, but I will tell you this. My opinion of that as of now hasn't necessarily changed. I like that. I think that beat up guitars are super cool. My number one guitar is just beat, and I love it. It is awesome. Um, but I believe that that is for the user, and I think that there is a fair amount of respect that goes along with road wearing out the guitar yourself and um, having that be the thing that you own, having the marks and scars on your guitar from playing it out, and oh crap, it fell off the stand this day, and I hit the drummer's cymbal this day, and I did this and that, and all those little marks and things being created naturally by use, and maybe even by a little bit of abuse, makes a thing really cool, way cooler than some dude with a bunch of chains dropping it on a guitar to try to simulate the look of those things naturally happening to the guitar. And it's a tough question because again, this is opinion and not fact. I totally get it. I get why those guitars are cool and why people think they're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do this thing where I get a new guitar and you panic if you like I get guitars that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this live. And then when it gets right down to it, I don't want to sweat on it. I don't want to make it all, oh, it's so clean and so perfect. And I don't want to mess it up. And then I don't. And then they go in a case and then I don't play them. And then eventually I sell them or I don't sell them. They just gather around me.
Well, that's why your East Sider S,
Yeah.
you know, that's all. Those are all true stories that he told, by the way,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
about the East Sider S.
My East Sider S was messed up by UPS, and so I had no fear of it and took it to the stage and beat the tar out of the poor thing, and it's awesome, you know. Um, so I get the appeal of buying a relic. The other thing too, I mean, you buy a relic guitar and you get this cool guitar and it's already got the sort of marks up, and then you take it to the stage and sweat all over it, and you know, I something in my brain understands that.
Right.
And there's nothing cooler than, you know, than Keith's black telly. I mean, I get it, you know.
Right.
You know, I believe, I think I'm right about this. I think Richard started all of that because I think Fender gave some guitars to the Stones. And Keith was like, yeah, this, I mean, this is nice, but it's nowhere near as cool as my old beat up one. And then they were like, well, what if we beat them up? And I think that set them hold down the motion of doing that thing. I also totally get like Ibanez with that white Steve Vai, that Evo thing. I don't get the price tag, but the fact that they spent all, you know, man hours galore making guitars look exactly like his number one.
Right.
And we're going to take the little paint chip out here exactly where it is on
Right.
his. And so, I mean, if you are like a fan,
Super fan.
that is like the ultimate thing. And I totally get all that. But all of that falls way outside the box of us making pro level guitars for between $900 and $1,500 for you to enjoy. You know what I mean? I think at the price that we're offering these guitars, you can go out and do that yourself. Get two, beat the crap out of one of them. Am I right? Am I right, LG?
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I feel that it coming more naturally makes more sense to me. But like I said, I say that with respect and not wanting to put down anybody that's into that, because I totally get being into it. It's just not what it's not what the Reverend thing is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Joe does some really cool relicking to his
he does.
personal stuff.
Yeah, he
like
does.
it looks bad to the bone. He puts those World War II stickers on them and does
weird lights
and then it becomes personal,
right?
Which I love.
But that's one of the things that when he designs these guitars, he wants them to be personalized.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're fairly easy to work on and swap out if you want different knobs or something like that. It's a fairly easy swap.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
for
and
the most
make
part.
it your own.
Indeed.
You know, Dave Wolf would like to know if it's a 1-to-1 swap. Can you directly swap the Revtrons with the Retro Blasts?
Yes.
They're the same size, shape.
They are the same size. However, we have not started offering the Retro Blast pickups as for individual sale. Joe and I sort of made a conscious decision a long time ago to not be in the Reverend pickup business. The pickup market is very, very crowded. We've had a number of requests for the Revtrons over the years, but the problem with having a pickup that is its own size, then we open our, well, will it fit in this? Well, will it fit in that? Well, can I put it in my this? Will it fit in that? We're not in the pickup business, and I don't have anybody. We just don't have the manpower to sit and go through every model and every brand and see where every little thing is going to fit and stuff. And so we've shied away from offering the Reverend pickups as replacement pickups for other things. So yes, the Retro Blast pickups will fit right in the Revtron stuff, but I don't have them available for.
But if you have like say 2 flat rocks,
absolutely,
and you really love this one, but it's got the Revtron pickups, and you love the Retro Blast pickups, it should be fairly easy.
Yes, if you want to put the pickups from your Club King with Revtrons into your flat rock with Retro Blasts, that can absolutely happen. Is no problem. Anything else, LG?
Well, now they're talking about relicking.
We're talking about the relicking.
But before, there was some question about whether or not you were going to get a Veraclaw tat or a triple tree tat, and what other kind of Reverend tattoos you could get, or one could get, I guess, not just you.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. I think one could be clever with the Variclaw tat. maybe get, have the springs sort of, right?
That would be fun.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. I don't really have any plans, and I'm running out of skin, folks. So certainly running out of time to get tattooed.
I guess.
Lately. Things have been pretty wild around here.
Right. That's true.
But I don't have any plans, although I do kind of like it. Kind of like the idea now that the seed has been planted. You never know. We'll have to see what happens.
So where would you put the triple tree? Would you put it here, or at your wrist, or would you put it at your shoulder? I guess it depends on how you're looking at the guitar.
I guess it does. Yeah. I don't know. So for now, I'm going to stick with the old watt anchor. I think I'm good with that. Well, listen, folks, I'm going to let you go because the internet is glitchy and I'm starving, and it's getting to be lunchtime here in the eastern part of the US of A. I appreciate you all tuning in today. If you have any further questions about the Veraclaw, you can leave them in the thread below. Up and coming, a week from Sunday, the Polka Floyd Show is playing its first performance since Punchki Day back in February.
Yes.
We are going to be playing at the Maumee Bay Brewing Company at a socially distanced sanctioned event. Where they have not only is the event out in their courtyard, but they've also gotten the streets surrounding their courtyard closed off for the event. So we're going to be able to keep people social distanced and enjoy the fine brews from the Maumee Bay Brewing Company outside of the Oliver House in downtown Toledo, Sunday, September 20th. And music starts at 12 with Cindy Lou and the Rockabilly Band with some members of Kentucky Chrome. It's a killer band. And then they're going to do half the day. And then the Polka Floyd Show is going to perform 2 or 3 sets of Pink Floyd favorites. I'm looking forward to getting out on stage in front of people again. I'm a little rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, what do we got coming up, LG?
Nothing.
Yeah, we're
putting together something for.
Yeah, we're putting together something for January. It's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Right. It'll be fun.
And yeah, that's it. So I'll be back here next week. We're going to talk about some stuff. Not sure what. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Oh, LG knows.
Johnny Cola says, check out the Modified Reverend Guitars Facebook group.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. Johnny Cola started a modded Reverend Guitars Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
I suggest joining if you're not a member. Johnny's got a few of his really cool pieces up there, and Johnny has also posted a few of mine cool pieces, and people are sharing all kinds of rad stuff over there. So check out the Modded Reverends Facebook group. Hello, Johnny. Hello, Dawn. Miss you guys and hope to see you all soon. Hopefully we get our girl off to New York City and we can come and visit. Right. And everybody have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you here next Friday. I can dig it. Oh, there's that little bit of a strolly thing, something like that. You get into that earthquaker afterneath and be on the neck pickup.